I've just been browsing my emails and on the way to browse my emails, I came across Yahoo News and a report caught my attention. You may remember earlier in the year with the UEFA Cup final, England versus Italy, there was unfortunately the old story of English football hooliganism and yobbish behaviour. And with that, unfortunately, there was also racism, racist rhetoric. Although I have to say at the time, a lot of the debate focused on the racism problem that we have, ignoring the fact that a lot of that might have actually come from outside the UK. But regardless, that's clearly an issue. But I came across this report. Go read out some of it. Maybe not all of it because it's quite long. But this is the headline. Footballer welcomes first prison sentence handed to fan for online racist abuse. The reports by Matthew Cooper from yesterday. West Bromwich Albion and Romain Sawyers have welcomed an 8-week prison sentence, that's about 2 months, handed to a fan thought to be the first support jailed over online racist abuse of a footballer. In a statement issued after Albion supporter Simon Silwood, 50, was jailed in order to pay £500 in compensation over a grossly offensive Facebook post, Sawyers encouraged fellow players to report all racist abuse to police. The midfielder said, I welcome the custodial sentence today issued to Simon Silwood and I'm now focused on putting this incident behind me. Racial abuse towards anyone in any circumstance is totally unacceptable, and I hope this case will serve as a deterrent to others. This is an incident that has affected me deeply, but I would like to encourage fellow players to report all racist abuse to the police. We must together stand strong in order to rid the game and wider society of this hideous behaviour. 29-year-old St Kitts and Nevis international, who is currently on loan at Stoke City, added it is widely accepted that social media companies must do more to stop the publication of racism on their platforms. I'm going to skip a bit, just get to a bit more of the case. It's important to me to turn this negative experience into something positive, and I will therefore donate the £500 awarded to me as compensation to a local West Midland charity. Well, I'm sure a footballer doesn't need no more money. That's so fair play to him, but uh, I don't see that as like whoa, a great generous thing. Selwood was arrested after posting a message on social media saying Sawyer should win, and I'm quoting here, Baboon d'Or, a sarcastic reference to the Ballon d'Or trophy following his team's 5-0 defeat to Manchester City at the Hawthorns on January the 26th. He denied the offence, blaming predictive text and telling police it auto-corrected to the word buffoon to baboon. He might be telling the truth, but I think that's stretch. Selwood, who had been banned for life by West Brom, was convicted in an earlier hearing at Walsall Magistrates Court after District Judge Bryony Clark ruled he was not a credible witness and it meant the post to be offensive. The court heard Sawyers was reporting a separate alleged racist social media post when he was shown Selwood's message and was there feeling harassed, alarmed, and distressed after reading it. Passing sentence on Selwood of Randall Close, Kings Winford, Birmingham, or excuse me, Kings Winford, West Midlands at Birmingham Magistrates Court. On Thursday, District Judge Clark told him this is Mr. Selwood a serious offence. There's no place for racism or racist abuse online. This clearly, in my view, crosses the custody threshold. I strongly disagree with that. But anyway, I assess the remorse you have for your actions is very minimal indeed. Um, Mark Johnson of the CPS said in the 21st century Crime Prosecution Service, it should be incomprehensible how a so-called football fan can abuse a player based on race, let alone a player on the team he purports to support. Even his own defence lawyer said, offering mitigation prior to sentence, defence barrister Robert Jones said of Selwood, he has suffered a very public humiliation entirely of his own doing. He himself has received messages and threats since the conviction. He has now had the opportunity, somewhat ironically, to experience what that is like. The sentencing took place 3 weeks after a fan was given a suspended 14 weeks jail term for posting racist comments on social media after England lost to Italy in the Euro 2020 final, which of course was held this year. Scott McCluskey, 43, of Blythe Clothes, Runcorn, Cheshire, posted unacceptable abuse as a status update on his Facebook profile shortly after England lost in the final on July the 11th, Warrington Magistrates Court heard. Right, that's not the whole report, but it's more or less the gist of it. Right, so what we have here is a fan who has made a lout, right? I'm not going to defend the guy's attitude. I think football has a serious problem with this. But what we have is essentially someone being jailed over an offensive comment. That's what it amounts to. Let's not gloss it over any other way. That's what it is. Someone has been sent to prison for a comment. Now, it's a grossly offensive comment, and I can understand a black player being upset by that. But jail? Jail. I think that's inappropriate. And I'm not sure what the justification is for this clearly crosses into the custody um, barrier. I would like to see what sort of sentences that judge has given in other cases, for example, violent cases, i.e., is she consistent? Because I think that, I mean, I've sort of mixed views in terms of the problem. I don't minimize it. I think there is a problem in this country with yobbish behaviour in sports, and not just football, it happens in boxing as well, where you get these louts who cannot control themselves and they just spout off abuse. Free speech has consequences. If you if you think that you could just say what you want without any consequences, that's misguided. Or rather, I'll rephrase that. Free speech has responsibilities, and sometimes if you are willfully offensive, then there are going to be consequences. But I'm not convinced that jail is the right outcome. I think jail should be for repeat offenders, repeat serious offenders, and violent offenders. Um, I'm not anti-prison. I think it has its role to play, but I think it is incredible that we live in a country whereby violent offenders, such as the woman who bit a police officer, I think I quoted that case not long ago, she escaped a custodial sentence. Yet a guy who makes an offensive comment is sent to prison for 8 weeks. Now that's a relatively short time, but it's taxpayers who are paying for that. Um, so is it appropriate? I don't think so. I think a better penalty would have been to give him a long-term ban, make him apologise to the player, and maybe some sort of uh, tolerance course, to force him to confront his attitude problem. But jail, there's another side to this though. It's not just that this is, in my opinion, the wrong outcome in this case. There is also a question about how judges and how our sentencing system is inconsistent. If someone's going to be jailed over a racist comment, is that going to be, evenly applied? Um, let's say you have an Islamist makes comments about non-Muslims. Is he or she going to face consequences? Are they going to be jailed? If you have a Black Lives Matter activist who makes a racist comment about white people in general, which has happened, are they going to be jailed? So I've no personal sympathy for this guy, but I think there is inconsistency. I think there are double standards, and I do question why the legal establishment is so quick to, get hard line on a case like this, yet they're so slow to punish violent offenders. So often victims of crime are let down. While I'm on the subject, I should say, the high-profile Sarah Everard case, Wayne Couzens was given a whole life tariff. For one, that was a good outcome. I think that should have been a whole life tariff, given the absolutely manipulative way he tricked his victim, given how he treated that poor girl's body, young woman's body, absolutely horrendous. Must be horrendous for her family to go through that. I think in that case, a whole life tariff is warranted, and I think the Met has a lot of self-reflection to do in terms of how they vet their officers. Um, so I'm just mentioning that in passing because sometimes I often condemn sentencing. That's an example of a justified sentence. Jailing someone for a racist comment, I don't agree with that. I think they should face consequences. I'm not saying, oh, it's just words. I think he should be punished, but not by prison. Prison should be for muggers. Prison should be for arsonists, for gang members, for murderers, for dangerous people. For someone who has a racist attitude, I'm not convinced. I think a better approach, like I say, would be ban him for the club for a long time. Lifetime ban, I don't know. Certainly for a long time. Make him apologize to the player. Um, and force him to undertake some sort of tolerance course to confront, you know, what it's like for him on the other side. Like, how would he feel if, well, apparently he has got abuse since this happened. But I just question why they're so quick to issue a custodial sentence in this case. Uh, and yeah, I bet the same judge. I don't know her record because judges in this country are largely unaccountable. It's just difficult to check her sentencing record. But it would be interesting to see, for example, if she has had a mugger before her, if she has had gang members who have attacked someone, if she's had some yob who has assaulted someone, has she let them off the hook? Has she given them a custodial sentence? I wouldn't be half surprised if the answer is no. Um, so I think the way that I will say this though, I think it silences those who say, or rather, I think it discredits this argument that racism isn't taken seriously in this country. By contrast, it's taken very seriously. We have a racist problem, okay? We have racists in our midst, but this idea the problem is not taken seriously, I don't agree with that. This absolutely proves otherwise. Um, I just think it's a bad precedent because we're now in a situation, if people are going to be jailed over offensive comments, no matter how crass and offensive those comments are, where do you draw a line? Where do you say, well, this crosses the line, but this doesn't? And is it going to be consistent? I mean, I don't see why a white racist should be jailed, but a black or brown racist should not be. There should be consistent standards applied. I would still say jail is too excessive. Even if some BLM activist said something racist about white people, I'd say don't jail them, just, make them reflect on their attitude. But jail is, I'm not against it. I'm conservative on crime, but I think it should be applied in the right circumstances. I'm not convinced that this is the right circumstance, and I'm a little bit concerned about the implications of this sort of thing because it's sending out a message that if you make it, if you come from a certain demographic and you're offensive and you're obnoxious, then you're going to be punished, but that's not going to be evenly applied. And jail should also be for people who are dangerous. Now, the report doesn't say anything about this guy being violent or issuing threats, just making racist comments. If he issued threats, incidentally, I would support the jail sentence because threats are a specific, threat of violence. But the report doesn't even say that. I don't know. The other thing is, it could just make him more bitter. I mean, he could come out after 8 weeks thinking, okay, I was an ass, I brought this on myself. Or he might just be more bitter, saying, this isn't evenly applied. Why was I jailed? So I don't know. I'm not convinced it's the right approach. I'll try and put a link to the story that you think for yourself, but let me know your thoughts. I do not believe that people should be jailed for offensive language. I mean, my goodness, if we're going to jail people for offensive language, half of the so-called stand-up comedians in this country would be in jail. Look at Frankie Boyle. Some of the stuff he comes out with is disgusting, in my opinion. I can't stand the man, but I don't think he should go to jail. So why such a harsh sentence for one individual who has said some crass, racist things online? I just think that's wrong.